Good day. Welcome back to the Vitality Project. I'm Dr. Bob. Yesterday, we paused amidst our hurried lives to take a peek down into the shadowy realm. So those places within each one of us that we like to keep locked away from others, and oftentimes even from ourselves. I ask you to reflect back on a time where you were vulnerable, a time when you risked bringing something up to the light of day, something that may have been showing up in your life with an increasing burden on your psyche and on your body. We talked about the psychosomatic connection. Let me ask you, what did you remember in terms of an experience where you were vulnerable with yourself or with another, with something from the shadowy realm? What we're talking about here is becoming more tenderly honest with ourselves. I even used the term tender to tenderize our psyches yesterday, to be tenderly honest with ourselves. What we're doing is taking a courageous step towards bringing more vitality into our daily lives by skillfully and patiently taking the energy that otherwise is spent basically 24/7 holding stuff down in the basement and releasing that energy for it to be utilized in our lives otherwise. And so one of the huge payoffs of facing ourselves honestly with this kind of tenderness I'm talking about is that you basically redeem energy that's been siphoned aside for purposes of repression, and now it's accessible to you for things that really matter to you, such as being productive and creative in your life. I'm in no way suggesting that we do this alone. In fact, I think this is oftentimes where having a highly skilled other in our lives, oftentimes a professional, can be really, really important. You know, in an ideal universe, right, we would all have relationships in our lives where safety and very skilled listening with grace and responsiveness, where this was the norm. But the fact is, and you know this as well as I, that what I just described may well be the exception rather than the rule for most of us. And this is where I'd like to introduce the idea of therapeutic personalities. These are individuals in our lives who provide what I think of as healing balm. Therapeutic personalities who help us to bring up and out that which has been secreted away down in the basement, our personal shadows. So for today's exercise, I'd like to ask you to identify any therapeutic personality you may know personally. It could be your partner, perhaps a parent, a sibling, a friend, a clergy or other mentor, a healthcare professional. I think what's key here is whether you have somebody in mind or not, what's key is that we admit to ourselves, I think with kindness to ourselves and also with a kind of gentle humility, that we all need help in jump-starting this interior process we're talking about in terms of excavating the shadow. I really think it takes a village. And there honestly may be no more important work that you or I could do for the sake of lifting burdens off of our shoulders, off of our souls. There might be no more important task than what we're talking about doing for ourselves, and then to be able to turn that around and give to the world what it is that we've learned, to give that with compassion, not only for ourselves, but for others, with clarity and with grace. And so what we're talking about is identifying a therapeutic personality in your life, someone that you could share heart to heart the most vulnerable places and know that you wouldn't be judged. And in fact, know that you would be held psychologically and spiritually by them. And give yourself some time to think about that. It can be very helpful to identify these people in our lives. And if we don't have anybody, to move towards finding someone in our lives that can fill that particular need. Thanks so much for joining me today at the Vitality Project. Please stay healthy and be well, and come back and join me again soon.